This week we're talking unicorns and sprinkles, so stay tuned.
Welcome to another local market update with Rick Batista.
Welcome to another weekly market update. We were off last week due to Memorial Day. Hope you had a chance to enjoy some rest and relaxation with some family and friends, maybe a good cookout, while honoring those who have lost their lives serving this country. And with everything happening in and around the housing market and the economy, we're trying to bring you information on a weekly basis. So my apologies for taking last week off, but we have a lot to cover, so let's get started. Before we do continue, I want to just let you know that we'll be covering both national and local data. And although we do cover all of Chicagoland and the Burbs, the local data we'll be talking about will just be for Chicago proper, the 77 areas of Chicago. So let's get started as always with a fun fact, and then we'll share some slides and insight and some info.
Fun facts, market time.
Sales prices of existing homes rose in nearly 70% of metropolitan areas in the first quarter of 2023, according to the latest quarterly report from the National Association of Realtors. Despite the increase, however, affordability improved slightly from the fourth quarter of 2022, when 90% of metropolitan areas saw annual sales price increases. On average, families spent 24.5% of their monthly income on mortgage payments in the first quarter this year, compared to 26.2% in the fourth quarter last year. And that was certainly something that we covered in our last market update, talking about the percentage of a household's income that's being spent for household expenses for medium-priced home on the national level. I wanted to cover some information with you to just put things in perspective. The housing market is certainly stabilizing and finding its stable ground over the last couple of years. And you'll see on these charts here, 2020 and 2021 being referred to as the unicorn years. And certainly these, in as much as we don't want to enter into another pandemic, this type of housing situation and economic situation could happen, at least something similar, but may not be in our lifetime and may not be for some time. So for those of you who are waiting for interest rates to go down to the 2-3% range, you might be waiting a while. So what does that mean? A lot of the savvy investors and prospective home buyers out there, or active home buyers out there, realize that the interest rates are what they are. They can go ahead and purchase something now, and if and when the rates do drop to a significant level, enough to make sense to refinance, they can go ahead and do so. But it makes sense, especially if you're paying rent, your lease is up, or you're looking to move, and you plan to stay somewhere for at least a few years. I mean, who knows how the market's going to be 3 years from now, but definitely if you're looking at least 5, 7, 10 years from now, that's your kind of short, long-term goal, or long-term, depending on what stage of life you're in. It certainly may be worth buying versus renting right now. And like I've said many, many times in many, many different videos, renting isn't for everyone and buying isn't for everyone. So the conversation has to begin to see what makes most sense for you. So real estate is very much like relationships, right? Even though you may have gotten your heart broken, you've had a bad experience, we just go and do it again. We don't have much control over what our heart says. And to be quite honest, we got to live somewhere. So we got to live. So when the time comes, we need to make a decision as to what's better for us. Are we going to rent or we're going to buy? Over time, there's no doubt, although home ownership can come with many stresses and financial constraints, especially something breaking down that the landlord would typically repair if you're renting. In the end, time and time again, statistics show, and real life practical experience has shown, that the majority of people, I think it's safe to say across the world, but certainly in this country, in the good old US of A, one of the greatest ways to invest is through real estate. And we'll be doing another video on that. So keep an eye out for that one. But let's cover some information over the last few years. For the most part, we'll be looking way back to 2017. And why are we looking back to 2017? Well, because 2017, 18, and 19 were very normal. At the end of 2019, when the coronavirus was hitting the news and everybody was tossing toilet paper memes up on their social media feeds, something was a brewing, and come mid-March, I think it was right around the 13th or so of March, the shit hit the fan and everybody went on lockdown, and then it was just very, very, very interesting couple of years after that. And whether we're talking about real estate or pretty much any other industry or sector, 2020 and 2021 were certainly not normal years. So they're referred to in these charts as the unicorn years. So it's just not fair. Again, going back to relationships and real estate, it's not fair to compare one relationship or 1 year to the last. So yes, as data is coming out and comparing this year to last year, absolutely, this year is going to look really crappy. And it looks like this year just sucks compared to last year. But just like the foreclosure moratorium, which we'll be covering in this video. When you go from 0 to any number, it's going to look catastrophic, and it will appear as things are worse than they actually are. So I'm here to bring you information and data, actual facts from various sources and legitimate sources that put this information together. And I'm not here to push you in one direction or another. Ultimately, it is your decision as to what's best for you and your household, but I want to make sure that you have the information to make the best decision possible. So first, we'll be looking at home appreciation. Home appreciation that's seasonally adjusted, rounded to the nearest full number. 2022, we saw 5% home appreciation. Looking back to 2020 and 2021, looks absolutely horrible. Either about less than a half or less than a third of those two prior years. But compared to 2017, 2018, and 2019, pretty much in line and pretty much normal. Showing traffic, we are actually doing better in 2023 so far compared to 2017 through 2020. And as you can see, this is covering April for each respective year, 2020 being a very different year. Once the lockdown happened in March, there wasn't much going on. Taking a look at foreclosures now. Again, 2020, 2021, moratorium going on. 2022 certainly has gotten higher and doubled over 2021. But when you're going from a moratorium to any foreclosures, it's going to seem like a great increase and a drastic increase. But look at the average from 2017 through 2019. The average was 598,118. So well below that average number. Median days on the market, going back to 2017, we saw 55. Thereafter, 51, 52, 68. You look at 2023, we're at 43. We are less days on the market so far. And my apologies if I didn't mention this. This is looking at the month of May for each year. Very active May this year. If you look at 2021 and 22, certainly higher than, but very different market. We have higher interest rates to compete with compared to those years. But I think that really is a testimonial to how strong the market is and how sound the foundation of the real estate market is. We certainly have much better regulation than we did back in the early 2000s through the burst in 2008 and for many other different factors to consider. Very strong market, foundationally speaking, and not the insanity that we saw the last couple of years or last couple of Mays, I should say. But we're certainly doing better than the previous years, the normal years. And I would like to point out that, yes, the lockdown was going on in 2020, but I think at least in a lot of metropolitan areas and maybe some other smaller towns, the month of May may have seen higher market times, but we were still getting into the different phases of how, and I don't remember exactly when it was, but I know that May started to definitely pick up once realtors were considered essential workers and get out there and doing showings again. People were, taking the chance because they still needed to move for their own personal reasons, whatever their household needs were. But I do recall that very specifically that May started to get pretty busy in June and July, and thereafter when things got really crazy. Inventory of homes for sale, we're looking at the month of May for each year. That is something that we're certainly struggling with, compared to the normal years, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020, when the pandemic was just underway. Essentially, we're just a few weeks into it. But look how we compared to 2021 and 22. Certainly more homes for sale. Again, very different market. Properties that were hitting the market in those last couple of years were flying off the shelves, and now they're moving, especially if you're priced right, and that is a huge key, something we've talked about in several videos. You got to price it right, sellers. You got to price it right. Otherwise, you're going to have a longer market time and probably not get the price that you're hoping for, or even the price that you could have gotten if you priced it right out of the gate. But here we are, sitting with more inventory. Hopefully we can get even more inventory, more quality inventory, more importantly. Now, looking at months of inventory for April of each of the last several years, going back to 2017, we are certainly struggling there. We're at 2.9, higher than the last couple of years, but we are not where we were pre-pandemic times. But certainly better than the pandemic times. So that's one of those things that if you hear those scary headlines, that is the actual data on that slide. Pending listings, looking at the month of May for each year, going back to 2017, we're actually very much in line with 2017 through 2020. Certainly not where we were in 21 and 22, the pandemic years, the height of the pandemic years, but definitely not too shabby. And again, I can't stress it enough. We're in a normal year, folks. This is just it's not what it was, even for realtors who were just being able to make sales left and right. It was insanity. It's great when everybody's so busy in a way, but you also have the inability to provide the great and exceptional customer service when you are that crazy, and telling buyers to not do home inspections and all these other crazy things to throw at a seller, because I don't think if a seller were in that position as a buyer, they would want to give up as much as their rights essentially. To buy a home. Yes, everything may look catastrophic looking at what was happening during the height of the pandemic when it comes to housing, but we are very, very much in a normal year. The numbers show it. And for those of us who have been in the business long enough, we understand that and we can certainly appreciate that. So now that we've covered some national data, it's time to wake up! This is information and data that is provided by the Chicago Association of Realtors for week ending May 27th and current as of a couple of days ago, June 5th. We're going to be looking at year-over-year changes. We're going from fun facts to quick facts. New listings down by 27.5% in the detached market, while it was for the attached, being condos and townhomes, down by 35.5%. Under contract, up by 3.7% for detached, down by nearly 18% for attached. Homes for sale, down by 10%, it's the most I've seen in quite some time doing these market updates, and down by nearly 33% for attached, which is pretty much in line from what I recall. Unpacking those numbers a little bit more, new listings, we wrapped up to the week of May 27th with 295 single-family detached homes on the market, 3-month average of 329, down by 20.5% year over year. And single-family attached, 407, 3-month average of 537, and down by nearly 34% year over year. Under contract, the week of May 27th, we wrapped up with 226 single-family detached homes, bringing us to a 3-month average of 214, and for the attached, 320, 3-month average of 353, and down by just over 30%. And inventory of homes for sale. The week of May 27th, we finished with 2,071 single-family detached homes on the market, 3-month average of 2,173, up by 2.9% year over year, and for the attached homes, 3,200, a 3-month average of 3,115, down by 29.5% year over year. So what does all this information mean for you? Heck if I know. You need to start a conversation to find out. All depends on what's happening with you and within your household, and taking into consideration your short-term and long-term goals. So reach out. My number's below. You can call, text, or email. Even if you just want a copy of any of the information or slides, files that we showed here in this video, more than happy to send you it in a PDF version. And although love and money may come and go, time is something we can never get back. So I appreciate and thank you for spending some of your time with me today. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you next time.